Okay. Uh, ugh. It just gets worse and deeper and deeper and worse. But the good news is I'm supposed to be sitting in the middle of the hurricane right now, and I'm not going to say the sun's out, but there's not even rain, and I can't get the chickens to come in and take their lessons with me. So here I am stuck again with the electricity on, complaining about stuff that they do. So maybe they will not do it. What am I supposed to do? So it's clear that the United Nations met. It's clear that they had a secret vote. It's clear that, they're using weather modification. I can hear it's interesting because I've already heard one go off. I hear one in the back going off, an alarm. And yet, well, we'll have about an hour together and you'll get a chance to see. But anyway, I honestly, anybody that hangs out in the clouds, hides behind the clouds, makes rumbling sounds, and shoots off a little electricity every now and then, is retarded. They want to be special. They want to be important, but they're just troublemakers on the earth. I mean, honestly, that's all they can really be, because they're spirit born. See, spirits are not going to do good. It's not within them to do good. They're diminished, like I've read to you 1,000 times. For you people in the back that keep asking me the same questions over and over again, let me just tell you this, that if you want to know a better interpretation, like the best interpretation that you will ever get of what your King James Bible should say but doesn't say, because when the Geneva Bible was brought out, it was not supposed to be recorded, the Bible. Because remember, prior to that, it was in Latin, and that was only for Roman priests to, go over with you while they got you to confess. Think about it, Middle Ages CIA. They found technology, what can I tell you? And the story about Rome being founded on 7 hills, and Romulus and Remus, and raised by a she-wolf, but called a cat a hole at church. You get it? You get it? What's wrong with that? Cats and dogs. Cats and dogs barely like each other, right? Canaanites is really what they're telling you. They're telling you these people who will eat other people, they're telling you that these people still exist. Their doctrines are still around. If you read the book, I've got it right here. Here you go. There you go. The two Babylons. You can easily put together that what Nimrod did is he came up with a religion that basically the Anunnaki fashioned from Tammuz or Dumuzi and Inanna. Now understand this, that Ezekiel tried to tell you that these men, talking about where Lucifer is, that word Lucifer. Lucifer is just another name for Lucy. Lucy is a woman. In the book of Enoch, it tries to tell you that they were already fugitives. They had already gotten in trouble for something that they did. Already. And we don't specifically get told what it was in the book of Enoch, at least whilst not to my knowledge, nor in the secrets of the book of Enoch. But right there in the secrets of the book of Enoch, it basically goes on to talk about the devil or Satan ill and how he created a woman, Diana, and that was his downfall. See, if you are a carnal man or a carnal woman, which the daughters of Cain were carnal women, they had relations with angels. Angels became men. Okay? However you want to view it, from the perspective of whatever books you're reading, these Anunnaki in my, Anunnaki rock opera, which I have posted on here many times, showed you that they were men and women. Now, these people were not here from the beginning. From the beginning, there were animals here, but there were not these men. There was not Anunnaki here. There were no Anunnaki here. There were hominid men, which would have been a primitive man. Okay? When Enki got here and he found him and he said, ooh, we can make more poontang. We can make more poontang. We can have strange poontang. Ooh. Talking about Inky Stinky Winky. In the movie Metropolis, a silent movie, they referred to him as Rotwang. I'm not making this stuff up. He's a mad scientist, Rotwang. But just understand this whole story of Nimrod and Semiramis. This is based on Dumuzi and Inanna. So understand, it's Jesus and Mary. Okay? It's the same story. That's why they keep recycling. See, remember, I taught you in the last video that they just revision. They never get it right to begin with. So they just keep writing it and writing it and writing it, writing it, writing. Rewrites. Hollywood rewrites. Till they get it right. Or at least to a percentage of truth in it where somebody might go, duh, okay, duh, okay, sounds like it could be true. Maybe it is. Anyway, miss you, Babylon the Great, mother of all the harlots. That's Inanna. Okay? And Dumuzi is her reincarnated child that, you know, she had, where it had the spirit of Dumuzi in it. The problem is when spirits, you know, they're just not that great. Spirits is no guarantee that you're going to get a person that is going to get it right. And yet, all we ever hear is God is a spirit. God is a spirit. He must be worshipped in the spirit. I mean, come on. Come on. Come on. Wake up. Anyway, for the people in the back, if you were going to invest in a Bible, and the way I'll tell you to get it is you'll get it for free, but you probably want to have a copy of it. I have a copy of it, so you should too. Called the Targum of Palestine. Now, is it true? It may be partial history, but you got to realize you're getting this from Cain's. There's no truth in them. They almost couldn't function in this world until they found out, if we keep the soul people around, and we study them very carefully. We must study them very carefully, because every once in a while, something comes out of their mouth. We don't really understand what the hell they're talking about, but people just go, wow, how do they know that? Ooh, ooh, ooh. So we're just going to pinch off some of their light to give our stupid, retarded, lying mouth some legitimacy. And so that's what they did. But it's always stories that always change. And if they have to, they'll turn on CERN, turn back the history of whatever, and change, you know, a word in all your books. Because the retards have figured out how to do this again, because for one, they're invisible. So they're the ultimate spy. They're the ultimate spy. They can sneak up and look over your shoulder, and they can report back anything that they learn. And since the live people, talking about the flesh-walking demons, which are RHD, get it? D, RHD positive, they're going to communicate with their dead ancestors. Ooh, let's find out. There's some stuff we need to know. Ooh, let's communicate with the dead. Ooh, our dead ancestors. Ooh. What does the dead want in return? They want to protect me? They're going to protect me. Oh, you got to possess me in order to do that. So you got to ruin everybody else's day so that you can get flight or fight protection from your dead relative. Who do you think you're kidding? Do you think you're fooling anybody anymore? You might fool a few people, but you're not fooling me. No, I've been watching it. I don't even address my daughter's demon that she found in, of all places, a graveyard. That'd be a good place to find them. And they literally started talking to her. She could hear them, and they promised to protect her. But all that stinking demon does is cause everybody problems. Every time. You need my daughter to act like a decent person. She can't do it because of the goddamn demon. Now don't tell me how righteous and pious you are, because you're nothing but a goddamned animal. Okay? An irrational one at that. I mean, really. Who do you think you're fooling? So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it because I've seen it with my own eyes. And look, I don't just see my daughter's goddamn demon and I have to talk to it on a regular basis. And I have to listen to it talk to me like it's teaching me something. Really? You're going to teach me that you're Jesus? You know, wait a minute. You're not supposed to be talking about Jesus like this. You're supposed to be fleeing, running. But it turns out your demon ass is worshiping Jesus. Who do you think you're kidding? Really? Who do you think you're fooling? People, they are trying to trick you. Now, I'm not talking to the Ds, the RHD positives. Okay? Unless you are an A or a B and you have stopped eating meat. Because if you haven't, you're carnal. If you can't stop eating meat, you will remain carnal. If you are carnal, you will never get past your lusts. Because eating meat, eating rotten flesh and blood is a lust of your ancestors because you were what? Canaanites. You were Canaanites. You were fanged people who ate other people and animals. Therefore, you had to ooh la la, let's puntane, let's worship Venus. Hell yeah. Let's worship our phallus. That's what you do. You don't have no other thoughts but your ding-a-ling, your pee-pee. That's what it's supposed to be for. But all you want to do is chase around poontang. By the way, that is a crude word, but it's French. So I guess we let the French get away with that. But that's what you do. You worship Venus. Why do you worship Aphrodite and Nana, Venus? Because that's Enlil's granddaughter. Yeah. That's Enlil's granddaughter. Yeah, she's got to be worshipped too. Anu's great-granddaughter. Anyway, so I've done this for you before, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. And then I'm going to give you some decent links this time. I'm going to talk to you about the links real quick. Now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links, all connected to the HAARP electromagnetic waves, can be used to stimulate geophysical events. HAARP weather modification. Air Force says it will own weather by 2025. Chemtrails. Chemtrail Indigo pilot. Now, I'm not sure if they mean the airline Indigo. I don't really believe that's what they mean. I think that there's a word for these chemtrail pilots. Anyway, I don't think it's connected to the Indigo, you know, the Indian Go, airline. But it basically tells you, you know, the whole deal with chemtrails as from the pilot's perspective. And then, you know, the reason we're covering this, that I'm getting ready to cover with you, is because what's his name, Biden, kept using a term on a debate that they had, Trump and Biden, called, he kept talking about the dark winter. Well, the dark winter is this winter. This is when the electricity gets turned off. Now, if I'm wrong and they don't turn it off, yay for me. Yay for me. It's because they hate me so much, they're going to make sure that they're not going to fulfill their own prophecy by making me look like I'm, you know, wrong. And you know what? I'm okay with wrong. Because, you know, we can see that the hurricanes are lining up, baby. They're lining up. This is their year. What is it? The Air Force says it will own weather modification by 2025. I think they already own it. But I think we're going to know that they own it by 2025. Now, you know, what's his name? Biden talking about this dark winter sounds like a page right out of Byrd and Enlil's little meeting that they had at the North Pole. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to read part of it to you. I don't want to read the whole thing. All I can tell you is that this thing was supposed to be published in a book. I do not know whether it ever actually did get published in a book. I don't know the answer to that. I've only ever found it on the internet in the form of a PDF. But when I read it, to me, it struck a chord in that I recognized something in that the person that Byrd was allowed to communicate with was definitely an Anunnaki. Definitely. A living, breathing Anunnaki. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a good bit of it so you can see what I see. There's a flight log. It's basically, you know, talking about They're going over, here we go. This is where I want to be. So they're going over ice. And all of a sudden, out of the ice is going to appear at the North Pole something different. So let's look and see what that might be. And it just basically says 0, 9, 15 hours. In the distance, what appears to be mountains. Now we're at, 0949, 29 minutes elapsed, flight time. The first sighting of the mountains, it is no illusion. These are mountains and consisting of a small range that I've never seen before. Just 6 minutes later, altitude changed to 2950 feet, encountering strong turbulence. We are crossing over a small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley in a small river, with a small river or stream running through it, the center of the portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth. In other words, they're being they've got a tractor beam on them, and they're being pulled. It says maybe not yet, but they're going to be. 1,000. Sorry about this. I mean, this has been going on for over a week. Can't get rid of the mucus. I'm sure it has to do with the poison food. And probably my cell phone. 10:05 hours. I alter altitude to 1,400 feet and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is a green with either moss or a type of tight-knit grass. The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. So in other words, that's their little, smoky god. For those of you who don't know what the smoky god is, that there's basically a black hole sun downstairs. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed it is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. Now, I just want to make a comment that in the Book of Mormon, there were 3 different types of mammoths. I just want you to know that. Okay. So 10:30 hours. Countering more rolling green hills now. Encountering. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. At the North Pole, huh? Continuing on our heading now, navigation instruments seem normal now. I am puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning. 11:30 hours. Countryside below is more level and normal. If I may use that word, ahead we spot what seems to be a city. It is impossible. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off of our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. There is a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. 11:35 hours. Our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what perhaps is a slight Nordic or German accent. This message is, welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You are in good hands. I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. 11:40 hours. Another radio message received. We begin the landing process now, and in moments the plane shudders slightly and begins to descend as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible, and we touch down with only a slight jolt. 11:45 hours. Making a hasty last entry into the flight log, several men are approaching on foot. They are tall with blonde hair. Nordics. In the distance is a large simmering city pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those approaching. I hear a voice ordering me by name to open the cargo door. I comply in log. From this point, I write all the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft, and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves us towards the glowing city with great swiftness. As we approach, the city seems to be made of crystal material. Soon we arrive at large building that is a type I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. We are given some type of warm beverage which tasted like nothing I'd ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, two of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters and announce that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply, and I leave my radio man, and we walk a short distance and enter into what seems to be an elevator. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops and the door lifts silently upward. We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by a rose-colored light that seems to be emanating from the very walls themselves. One of the beings motions for us to stop before our great door. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot read. The great door slides noiselessly open, and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks, "Have no fear, Admiral. You have an audience with the Master." Now, is this Jesus? The Master? Is this Jesus? Or is this Enlil? Let's see if you can figure it out. I step inside and my eyes adjust to a beautiful coloration that seems to be filling the room completely. Then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is, in fact, too beautiful and wondrous to describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any detail with justice. My thoughts are interrupted in a cordial manner by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. I see a man with delicate features and with the etchings of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. After I am seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following. Now, is this going to be a spirit man? Well, we've already heard Jesus call himself a spirit man. We know that Enlil is an Anunnaki. You can't worship God, in any other way but spirit. So, is there any reason to believe this isn't some sort of spirit man? Let's see if we can figure that out. We have let you enter here because you are of noble character as well as known on the surface world. Now, is that noble as a spirit? Or is that noble as a soul? Interesting. I half gasp under my breath. Yes, the Master replies with a smile. You are in the domain of the Ariani. In other words, Aryans. So these be white people. Just like he described them as blondes, Nordic blondes, right? The inner world of the earth, in other words, downstairs. That'd be a spirit man. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It's interesting how they are just determined to destroy Japan over and over and over again, huh? Starting with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which I believe was experiments to see what would survive. And of course, they found out the banyan trees. They're maybe getting the name of the banyan trees not quite right, but there were trees that survived no problem. There were also people that survived, no problem. It was at that alarming time, we sent our flying machines, the Flugelrads. Okay, so your saucers, your saucer people, the bastards that hide in the clouds, in saucers, Nazis, are in the Flugelrads. They're Nazi Bell machines. They're literally, you know, Nazi flying saucers. To your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral. But I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity. But now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries, well, you know what? If you were going to do something about it, you'd already done something about it. You could have stopped it before it ever started. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have chosen to be witness here that our world does exist. You see, our culture and science is many thousand years beyond your race. Admiral, I interrupted, but what does that have to do with me, sir? The master's eyes seem to penetrate deeply into my mind because, you know, you spirits are so great at interpreting, you know, body language and facial language. And after studying me for a few moments, he replied, your race has now reached the point of no return. Actually, the point of no return is right now. For there are some among you who would destroy your very world rather than to relinquish their power as they know it. I nodded, and the master continued. In 1945, after we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility, our Flugelrads were fired upon. Yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, and a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. How does this Enlil JeZeus know this? Is it because maybe it happened before and maybe Enlil JeZeus was responsible? Think about it. Mucking with the, you know, DNA. Constantly, you know, killing off, you know, people in wars. You know, according, what's his name? Billy, I can't remember his name right now, but the black dude that talks about the Anunnaki says Enlil literally used crop control to starve people to death. Now, in my mind, that's the same guy. Why do I say that? Because the navel of the earth is going to be the command center. Who runs the command center? That's going to be Enlil, right? Inky has to go under the earth. To the abyss of the sea. That's where he is right now. Now, if we're entering into the age of Aquarius, well, we're about to deal with his stinky winky, his rot wine. That'll be happening pretty soon now. Oh. So it says, it may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. That'd be now. But Enlil knew all about this. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. That's all I'm saying. They don't like it when I say this, because they were training me to be on their side. You know, the spirit. You know, the one with the hole in it. But I didn't see that as the truth. I saw this that I'm reporting to you as the truth. That's why I continue to report it. And I don't care. I don't care what they do to me. Whatever they do to me, just know that it will be done to them in the next world. And some of them may end up being my chihuahua. I would love to have Enlil as a chihuahua. I can tell you that right now beyond any shadow of doubt. If I could grab hold of Enlil, I might be able to teach him a few things. Now, you know, they carry on like they've learned from all of their mistakes, but have they? If they have the power to do anything and didn't, again, what did spirits ever do that was good? What truth do spirits ever know? I'm just curious. They should know, but for some reason, because of their diminished capacity, they are not able to get it done. Anyway, let's read some more. Okay, so your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come. Now remember, all of this is back in the 50s. You know, when Byrd, 40s, 50s, when Byrd was planning to go to Antarctica, where he had to fight those same frugal rads. But down there. We here see it more clearly with each and every hour. But you don't do jack about it. Do you say I'm mistaken? No, I answer. It happened once before in the Dark Ages came. And they lasted for more than 500 years. Wow. Yes, my son, replied the master. The Dark Ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pal. But I believe that some in your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race. See, this is why they're not going to lift. The United Nations is not going to lift a finger to change nothing now. They're going to let the Cains destroy all the innocent people that they can destroy and not do squat about it. You see, you caused this, okay, just by coming here. And now you're like, oh, we've learned, don't get involved in their stupid shit. Okay? So you think that you're doing the right thing by doing that. But you're not. And you'll pay for that in a different way. You'll see. See, because you never learn. You never learn. You just never are capable of learning. Oh, it sounds like you know a thing or two, but you never do. And most importantly, you never do the right thing. Even when it's slapping you in the face. So your policy has become, ooh, we're just going to sit back and let them kill off each other. It's not going to cut it, but that's okay. There'll be witnesses that are going to, know when this is over. Where the root of all the trouble started and who is responsible for it. Seeking its lost and legendary treasures. And they will be here, my son. Oh, let me back up just a little bit. Yes, my son, replied the master, the dark ages that will come for your race will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. Well, guess what? When all this is over, you have to leave. Because you started the shit. You did nothing to stop it. And we want you gone. Gone. We want you to leave. We don't want you hanging around. You are not going to be the new boss, same as the old boss. You are leaving. We want you out once and for all. Because we think you are the trouble. From the root cause of the beginning. We want you gone. That's what we want. And they will be here, my legendary treasures. Seeking its says we see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. Listen. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. We don't want your dirty ass contraptions. Take your dirty ass contraptions with you when you hike on back down to where you came from. We're going to put a little cover over your hole and you should never come out again. Fly underneath from now on. That's what you've earned. Because you did nothing but cause trouble on the earth while you were here. Your kind are the trouble. There was none of this before you got here. So, no, we don't want our crap back from you that you're going to have in your safekeeping. Enlil, stick it up your bunghole where the sun don't shine. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again and help revive your culture and your race. No! No! Mafia dude, no! No, we don't want you. We don't want you. Go home. Go home. We don't want you. Go home. Go home. You good for nothing spirit man. Go home, you lying trash. Go home. We don't want you. We would rather be here alone than to put up with your dirty asses for another minute. You are not going to get to be the Savior. No, you're not going to get it. We don't want you to save us. We want you to leave. We're done with the mafia. Do you understand? We've evolved past you. Go. Go while you can. Because believe me, there's a reason you live underground with your own little black hole sun. You're not from here. You go back down into your hole and don't ever come back up again. That's what we want. This is not your place. If it were, you screwed it up. And therefore you must pay for that. So we have to go back from where you were allowed here. So you must leave. Your time is up. We don't need you anymore. Do not darken our doorsteps again. Go away. I see you blinking. Anyway. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again. Meet the new boss. Blink away. Blink away. See, somebody knows I'm right. Somebody knows. To help revive your culture and your race. What race is that? It's a blood thing. Stop calling it a race. Liar! Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and its strife. Are you kidding me? You are the root of war and its strife. Enlil, you. JeZeus, you. Inky, you. You are the original Hatfield and McCoys. You have some nerve lecturing us. Get the F out. Don't come back. We don't want you. Go bother somebody else. And after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned to your race to begin anew. No. No, 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 no. 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 Let me back up. Nay means nay. Nay means nay. Nay means nay. Nay means nay. We don't want your stupid, retarded science. We don't want it. You're lying ass. We don't want it. You must leave. We don't want none of your help. Can't you understand? We're done with you. You had your time and you blew it. You blew it. Go. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with a message. Well, he took the message, but, then he went down to fight you in Antarctica. Right? With these closing words, our meeting seemed to be at an end. I stood for a moment as in a dream, but yet I knew that it was reality. And for some strange reason, I bowed slightly. Well, you probably bowed slightly because you're one of them. The nodding people. The land of asshole. Either out of respect, humility, or I don't know which. Ignorance. Because, Byrd, you had no idea what you were facing. I don't even know if you know about the Anunnaki. Because if you had known about them, you certainly would have written more than what you wrote here. But, dude, you got flim-flammed. That's what happened. With these closing words, our meeting seemed to be at an end. Suddenly, I was again aware of the two beautiful hosts. Now, these are Nordic men, Nazis, who had brought me here, were again at my side. This way, Admiral, motioned one. I turned once more before leaving. I looked back toward the master. It's got to be Enlil. Enlil will not allow anybody else to be called master but him. And let's look at that word carefully. Ma's star. Who was their mother? Tiamat, the dragon lady. Think about it. The star of the Ma star. Though they did call JeZeus the same. A gentle smile was etched on the delicate and ancient face. Farewell, my son, he spoke. Then he gestured with a lovely, slender hand. A motion of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Quickly, we walked back through the great door of the master's chamber and once again entered into the elevator. The doors slid silently downward, and we were at once going up. I mean, how far down do you think they were? Think they made it past the smoky sun? One of my hosts spoke again. We must now make haste, Admiral, as the master desires to delay you no longer on your scheduled timetable, and you must return with the message to your race. We ain't making no agreements with you, Enlil. Your days are numbered, bastard. JeZeus. You stinking Anunnaki. Good for nothing, warthogs. Who don't, it's like that. Years ago, I had a public speaker, come in and, give us a speech. It was supposed to be a sales speech, but it was like no sales speech I'd ever heard. His first question out of his mouth was, "Do pigs know that pigs stink?" I don't recall what everybody in the room said, but I said definitely not. These pigs have no idea how much they stink. Down with you. Down with you, Enlil, and your daughter, and your son, and your cousins. Down with all of you. This can be nobody else but Enlil. Anyway, I said nothing. All of this was almost beyond belief. And once again, my thoughts were interrupted as we stopped, and I entered into a room and was with my radio man. He had an anxious expression on his face. I approached and said, "It's all right, Howie. It's all right." The two beings motioned us towards the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at our aircraft. The engines were idling, and we boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by that unseen force until we reached an altitude of 27,000 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside of us for some distance, guiding us on our return way. I must state here, the airspeed indicator registered no reading. Yet we were moving along at a very rapid rate. 2:15 hours, a radio message comes through. "We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free." I don't speak German, so I don't know what this is. We watched, auf Wiedersehen. We watched for a moment as the Flugel disappeared into the pale blue sky. Oh, what? No chemtrails? The aircraft suddenly felt as though caught in a sharp downdraft for a moment. We quickly recovered her control. We do not speak for some time. Each man has his thoughts. 2:20 hours. We are again over the vast areas of ice and snow in approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We radio them, they respond, we report all conditions normal. Base camp expresses relief at our reestablishment of contact. 300 hours. We land smoothly at base camp. I have a mission. I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery in the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. Now this would have been, I believe, Eisenhower. This is when all the hubbub started with all of the Nazi visits in, saucers. I am now detained for several hours. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of the United States of America. Of America? You mean the United States Corporation? I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. I'm reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. Final entry. These last few years, elapsed since 1947, have not been kind. I now make a final entry in this singular diary. In closing, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values of moral right. Now I seem to sense the long night coming. The long night coming. There it is, the dark night. There you go. On this secret will not die with me, but as all truth shall, it will triumph, and so shall. And it so shall. This can be the only hope for mankind. No. It's not the only hope. Let the Cains get rid of the Cains, because that's what they do. They, literally do that because they like to eat the tail of the serpent. And let's just hope they'll go downstairs when it's time for them to go. Like the movie, if you haven't seen it, Greenland. If you haven't seen it, Gerald Butler and the Anna from the TV show V, Morena Baccarin, one of my favorite Brazilian actors. Anyway, long story short, see it, because you're going to see they're going to go underground. They have got a system that gives them their golden ticket. And don't think I didn't get a sheriff to admit to it, because I did. He admitted to me about his golden ticket. Fucking. He knew. I knew. And yet they have not touched a hair on my head other than to hit me with the directed microwave weapon in order to make me go to court. Other than that, and that's a lesson I'm supposed to learn of how to deal with it differently. And I have learned, because I realized the mistake that I made. When you're dealing with Cains, you got to be wiser and smarter. It's just that simple. I have seen the truth, and it has quickened my spirit. What? Well, there you go. He's a spirit man. And has set me free. Oh, really? Because you talked to Jesus. I have done my duty towards the monstrous military-industrial complex. The one Kennedy warned us about. Now the long night begins to approach, but there shall be no end. The long night. There shall be no end, just as long as the long night of the Arctic ends. The brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again. Yeah. That you're a slave to the goddamn Anunnaki. Because you're stupid and you won't figure out that this is how they do it to you. And those who are in darkness shall fall in its light. Oh boy. Ugh. For I have seen that land beyond the pole. So what? It's underground. Hello? That should have told you one thing right there. That center of the great unknown. Is it really unknown? See, this is what happens when you listen to spirit men. They are trying to trap you in a snare. Make no mistake about it. That's what they're doing. They're trying to trap you in a snare. They want you to be trapped in a snare. It's what they want. For eternity, if they can. They'll just kill you off and resurrect you again with no memory. Because that's how they do it. Reincarnation. That's how they do it. See, they don't lose their memory. You lose yours. See, this is not fair. There's nothing about it that's right. And I have come here to put an end to it. That's my job. Putting an end to it. And if you know what's good for you, you should listen. But it doesn't matter. Because I can start over from one. Anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you and have a nice day.